Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Week 9 NFL DFS Slate Breakdown, brought to you by LineStar. Please come join us. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, the props, the DFS. You get it all for one low price. We also have a free trial if you've never tried us out before. I'm your host, Tyler Weeman, and now let's get into it. Let's go. We're going to do position by position on DraftKings and FanDuel, say the high ownership, say a couple of pivots, and let's start off with a little slate overview. So we got three teams with the 28.5 implied total, and those are the Rams, the Lions, and the Packers. Bears, KC are both at 27. Then we have Colts and Chargers, 6.8 and 26.5. Buffalo 25.5, 49ers 25.5, and Patriots 25. A lot of teams with high scoring games, and obviously the highest game total of the week is that KC Bills game. And Chicago Cincinnati is right there with 51.5. Colts Steelers 50.5. Lions Minnesota 48.5, with Giants and 49ers at 48.5 as well. The 49ers and Giants looks like it will be probably the second fastest pace game. Denver and Houston is third fastest, with New Orleans and the Rams as the fastest. And the Rams do have a 28.8 game total here. This game is kind of interesting. The Saints play at a very fast pace, just means a lot of plays are going to be ran here. And we got Tyler Shuck, who is very willing to force the ball down the field. So there are some paths here to a game exploding, even though the Saints only have a 14.8 implied point total, and it's a very, very scary click to go anyone on the Saints with the unknown Tyler Shuck, but he will chuck the ball down the slate or down the field, which does make that interesting. Now, let's dig in to the quarterback position on DraftKings. We got Jackson Dart, 5,200, 16% owned, coming in as the highest owned quarterback, with Justin Herbert and Daniel Jones both right around there. Ownership wise, Jackson Dart versus the 49ers, one of the highest game totals of the week, one of the faster game plays of the week. And we know Jackson Dart has been able to get it done, not only from a team winning standpoint, as they've won 2 of 3, but they've had, a pretty hard schedule too. And they've been in these games, but he's also doing it for fantasy due to his rushing upside. 17 yards and a rushing touchdown, 11 and a rushing touchdown, and then 58 and a rushing touchdown, 55 yards, 54 and a tutty. I mean, he's averaging like 8-9 points a week from the rushing standpoint. So versus on the other side, a 49ers offense or defense that doesn't have much pass rush. They've been in some shootouts. We know the offense can put up some points. It is an interesting play, paying down and go to Jackson Dart. Not only does he have a solid floor because of that rushing upside, we have seen a little bit of a passing upside. 283 and 3 touchdowns versus Denver. And this 49er secondary or defense is not as scary as that Denver one. So Jackson Dart, plenty of viability. Next, we got Justin Herbert, 6,800, 16% owned versus the Titans. Look, this Titans defense is terrible. And the only reason why these season-long numbers or the last 4 numbers don't look better is people just don't have to pass versus them. They get a lead in the first half, and then everybody is just running versus them in the second half. So their totaled numbers look really bad. But from a defensive perspective, they're really not that great. So you can absolutely play your Justin Herberts. Don't hate going that way. My worry is I just expect a huge dose of Kamani Valdal, but if there is any chance where Tennessee is able to put up a little fight offensively, and they have looked a little bit better offensively later, then Herbert is, just has a giant ceiling. I mean, this team is putting up high 20s points weekly. I just don't expect them to be pushed. I'm probably not going to have a ton of Herbert at this ownership, as I like other spots to go, but there's definitely reasons to play him. Daniel Jones, 6,200, 13% owned. I think we got to consider Danny Dimes here. He is absolutely one of my favorite plays of the week. Look, he's 6,200, so he's not too expensive. We got a 50.5 game total. We have a Pittsburgh team that's only a 3-point underdogs at home. And one of the issues that we've seen with the Colts is this year they've got some giant leads. And what has happened is the team ends up just running the ball because they're just trying to end the game without getting too many injuries here and not being too aggressive, because they just don't have to be. But they have started out games being aggressive. If the Steelers can punch them in the mouth a little bit or just keep up for the first 3 quarters or so, this game is going to look super, super interesting and has a giant ceiling. We know Aaron Rodgers can sling it and keep into games even at his geriatric NFL age. So I don't hate going with Danny Dimes whatsoever. Looking at some of the numbers here, we got a Pittsburgh Steelers team that over the last 4 has allowed a 318 yards per game, 2 touchdown passes per game, ranking 30th in the league. On the season, they're 31st in the league, allowing 293 and 1.9. This is a great spot for Danny Dimes. And the Steelers still have to focus on Jonathan Taylor. So while Danny Dimes has been good, he's still the second worry of the defense. I think it's a great spot for Danny Dimes. The one aspect here to make this game really go, I do think you want a Steelers in your lineup because you want the Steelers to stay in the game. Danny Dimes is the best quarterback in the league, or most scoring fantasy quarterback in the first half of games, and then he drops off significantly to a back half quarterback in the second half because they've just had huge leads. All right, Caleb Williams, our first pivot I want to talk to at 5,700. Now, this one's a little more theoretical. DeAndre Swift is out. And with that, we have to decide what the Bears are going to do. Are they going to go with this game plan they have the last couple weeks where pretty run heavy, they're not slinging the ball that much? I mean, 34 passes where they lost by 14 points, 24 passes in a win, 29 in a close win. And then before the bye, it was 37, 28, 30, 35. So we kind of have to figure out what their game plan is going to be without DeAndre Swift. Are they just going to feed Kyle Monangai? Because if they do, then Monangai is pretty much a free square. It's a terrible Cincinnati offense. Monangai has shown some ability. Or are they just going to be like, hey, we don't have our RB1. We have this guy that is definitely capable, but isn't a game changer in Kyle Monangai, and try to throw the ball. Because if they're throwing the ball and if they're getting aggressive, we have seen Cincinnati is absolutely willing to be aggressive with good old Joe Flacco under center here. And if that's the case, this game has many past 2 shootout potentials. And without Luther Burden, there really is only 3, Bears wide receivers to look at, being Rome, obviously the one, DJ Moore, and Zacchaeus. Then you have the tight end situation as well. Thank you guys for showing up. Fantasy, yes, Jacoby Brissett does look like he will be starting this week. That is what, all the reports are saying right now, is he is starting. It's versus Dallas. He is an obvious start. So yeah, I think you're good going Jacoby there. So I think Caleb Williams at 5,700 is interesting. We've seen 29, 24 point ceilings out of him. If he can rush a little bit, if Cincinnati can stay in the game a little bit, then there's paths to his success for sure. Now, other pivots, we got some higher end quarterbacks here that aren't going owned, and we need to talk about them. I think we got Josh Allen at 7,300 in a matchup versus KC. Now, Josh Allen has to go super Josh versus KC sometimes. Look at the game totals we've had here. 29-32, 30-21, 24-27, 20-17, 24-20. These game scores get elevated, and in situations where the opposing team is pushing the Bills, Josh unlocks his rushing upside. He still has his, 300-yard passing upside. So I think you got to be very interested in Josh Allen here. The other thing, KC, been able to let quarterbacks run against them. They've been good about the, against the pass, but this is Josh Allen. He's going to get his. And if he's going low owned, he could break a slate. He's one of these guys that could have put up 40. He can rush for 2 touchdowns. He can pass for 3 or 4. There's a ton of paths to his success. And I don't think you necessarily have to stack him, because I think if he is the quarterback you had to have, it's probably because there's 1 to 2 rushing touchdowns in there. And you could go skinny stack if you want, or you could go James Cook and him and try and just get all of the points from an offense that could put up 40. That's an interesting way to go. But Josh Allen is definitely in consideration this week. Next, we got Jared Goff, 6K. This is a spot that is a little interesting to Onslaught. I mean, look, the Vikings are 8.5-point favorites. Detroit Lions are home. Dan Campbell is absolutely okay putting up 50 on an opponent and just staying aggressive until the very end of the game. He is even more so willing to do that when it is a rival and a division rival, especially at home where the Lions are just better offensively. So I don't hate going a full-on onslaught with Minnesota. Minnesota over the last 4 games, ranking 24th versus the quarterback. Detroit has so many guys and so many different ways to score. If all the touchdowns end up coming through the air, a dump off to Gibbs, Amon-Ra going nuts, Jamison Williams, Laporta, then the upside is just giant with Goff, and he's going low owned at 6K. So I think it's a very interesting spot. You got to throw in Patrick Mahomes if you're talking Bills whatsoever. He's just been so good and so consistent this year. And one of the things I've worried about is his rushing volume kind of going down a little bit. Now, in 2 blowouts, he still had 28 rushing yards. So early in the game, he was still looking to rush. But versus Buffalo, he's going to carry the ball a little bit more. In closer games, those 3-4 carries are going up to 6, 8, 10. And then there's also the usage around the goal line that will come up a little bit more. And going against a team like Buffalo raises that. He also obviously is an extremely good thrower of the football. So there's huge upside there. If I'm playing Mahomes, I am stacking him though. So, and I don't necessarily feel like you need to bring bring back versus the Bills, just because so many of the fantasy points could be just through Josh Allen for the boys. 2 other names I just wanted to throw out there, and they are not friendly ones to click, but Mac Jones is only 5K. He's been solid, been able to put up some decent scores. There's absolutely the chance of 25K. If I'm playing that, I probably would rather go dart and eat some chalk, but there's so many paths to his success with the weapons. And, Juwan Jennings is super cheap. You can stack him. There's obviously Kittle and CMC. So he has a lot of weapons to use there. And then JJ McCarthy is probably the ugliest click or hardest one to click because he was bad in those first two games. But he is versus a Lions defense and the secondary that is extremely beat up. If this Vikings team can give him a little bit of time, he can pick the secondary apart a little bit. And he has Addison. He has Jefferson. Aaron Jones out of the backfield. Hawkinson. There are plenty of weapons at 4,900. The weapons could make enough plays for him to get it done. And he also does have a little bit of rushing upside here. 25 yards versus the Falcons, 25 yards versus Chicago, and a rushing touchdown. There's pass at sub 5K where he can definitely get it done. What's going on, Night Owl? Thank you for showing up and commenting. Absolutely appreciate it. And just a reminder to everybody watching, especially on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps our channel so much. So I do appreciate you guys doing that. Every little bit does help. And let's check out quarterback on FanDuel. The high owned, we got Caleb, May, and Love. All right. We talked about Caleb. May at 7,800. I almost liked him to put him on DraftKings as a guy, a pivot we can talk about. And I think you can go there on DK. You can obviously go there on FanDuel as well. He has been extremely consistent. He has got it done week in, week out. They don't have Ramondre. So it's a question a little bit about what are they going to do? And I mean, this rushing attack hasn't been very good lately. So it could just be on Drake May, and he could be asked to be little Josh Allen. You know, he has rushing upside. He's just not as big and strong as Josh Allen, but he can get there with his legs as well as his arm. The Falcons defense has been solid, but they are missing some pieces. They've also been worse away. My biggest worry here is the Falcons offense. Win away has been very bad. And if the Patriots get up 21-0, you know, or 21-7, you know, how much are they really going to keep pushing the ball down the field? That is the one aspect I'm a little worried there. But Drake May with his rushing upside is absolutely clickable. Jordan Love, 7,500, 44.5 game total. Huge spread. My issue here is this team just doesn't ask him to do much unless they're pushed. And I don't think Carolina's pushing them at all. So I'm probably more of a no-go there at high ownership. But, you know, you guys can make your own decision. You're all big boys and big girls. All right, getting over to the running back spot on DraftKings. We got high-owned Christian McCaffrey. We got Tyrone Tracy and Kamani Valdal. A couple others that are going to end up being high-owned that I want to talk about, and our ownership just hasn't fully updated yet. Kyle Monangai, Kareem Hunt, Travion Henderson. Those are the cheapies of the week. Kyle Monangai at 4,600. Prospect profile-wise, he's meh, you know, but the team obviously likes him. It's not often that you see rookie getting playing time day one. And week 2, 7 carries and a touch. I mean, then lately, 15 touches versus New Orleans, 7 versus Baltimore. They're absolutely willing to go to him. And now that he's the one in a good spot, you could do much worse than go there. I think he's a great play. Travion Henderson at 4,900. This one's a little scarier because he hasn't been great. Like Ramondre, he has had fumble problems a little bit, which he didn't fumble at all in college. So it's kind of surprising that he is now. I mean, I know that it is another level higher of football. Defenders are better, all that kind of stuff. But he does have an awesome prospect profile. So the upside is here. It's just a little bit of a hard click because he hasn't done much all season. And truly, we don't know 100% it's going to be him. It could be, what's his name? I forgot his name even what is it? Tyrell Jennings could end up be Jennings. I mean, Jennings had a little work the last 2 weeks, and snap count wise, he played 14% week 7, 7% week 8. That week 7 game, Henderson played the same amount of snaps as him. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I guess you could throw in on a Millie Maker or something, Jennings in there, and just hope that he gets the lion's share of the work, but we're really not too sure how that is going to end up shaking out. Let's see. Sorry, I got some news updates. Just want to see if there's anything that we definitely need to look at. Hassan Haskins on injured reserve, so it is absolutely Kamani Vidal here. All right, let's get back over to running backs. Hunt, 4,700. He's a high-owned one, so we'll talk about him now. All right, so CMC, 8,800, 30% owned. I mean, he's a weekly consideration, a weekly play. The volume is huge. The only time he hasn't got huge volume was last week, and they still tried to go to him. It was just a blowout, and they ended up going other ways. But he is going to get 20 plus touches almost weekly, and with that, he's always going to project decently, and he's in a decent spot versus the Giants. So don't hate it, don't love it. Tyrone Tracy, 5,100. I don't hate going there. He was the one at the end of last year. My issue here is I just don't think there's a ton of ceiling in this spot. 49ers, 18th versus running back. They're not good. They're not bad, but that's kind of how Tyrone Tracy is. There's just not that many pass to a ceiling play. Projection-wise, where his score at, he is a great play. But, hey, projections are more medians. They're not the ceiling outcomes. And thus, I have a hard time clicking that when there's guys that are cheaper, projected for the same, and I think have a little more ceiling outcome. So that's my issue with Tyrone Tracy. Kamani Vidal, 6,300 versus the Tennessee, who has been awful versus running back, and Vidal's been great, getting a ton of work when the Chargers are ahead, and it's his job. I absolutely love Vidal. I would be playing him everywhere. Kareem Hunt, 4,700. We saw last week 2 touchdowns. He had 10 touches, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. He absolutely could be the guy in this game. They trust him, and that's a major thing. I think at the very least, he splits time with Brashard Smith, but has all the goal line work. So I do believe that he is the back to own of these two for fantasy purposes. Brashard Smith is interesting. He's cheaper, but they're not going to just give Brashard Smith the reins. I mean, Hunt was already working as the goal line back. It is going to be him in that role. Smith will probably play more, but not as much as Hunt. And we saw at the end of last year, Hunt was a little bit useful. The thing, though, is they may really struggle to run the ball, even versus this run funnel defense in Buffalo that tries to make guys run. Kareem Hunt just isn't a good, efficient player at this point in his career. He's going to get he's going to get what's given to him, but there's not much pluses on top of that. I do, however, like him in game stacks of that game because he can fall into the end zone for 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8K, extremely interesting, huge upside. So like that. James Cook, probably going a little too low owned at 7,200 in a game which profiles as one where he could get one of those, 70% snap count runouts. And he's hit 30 twice this season. There's very few running backs that have done that, and the ones that have are much more expensive. So I think Cook is extremely interesting at his price. He's probably going a little cheaper than he should be, and there's huge upside. So that's that. Pivot wise, Monangai, we talked about Henderson, we talked about Brashard Smith. Like I said, I wanted to just, I clicked him so I could talk about him, but we ended up talking about him with Hunt a little bit. So we'll move on and check high owned over here on FanDuel. CMC, Kyron, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Kyron, I'm fine having a little bit, but that Saints D can be a little stingy versus the rush. 19th in the league, 14th over the last 4. Kyron's good. The volume's going to be there, but he's got to get 2 touchdowns to kill you. That's the whole reason why I don't feel like at his price I have to go there on FanDuel. Rather just go somewhere else, honestly. Somewhere cheaper that has similar upside where you just need 2 touchdowns. And wide receiver. All right. Wan'Dale Robinson, 5,100 versus San Francisco. It's a game we like. Wan'Dale, I actually think he's a little sneaky here. So since he's been the one, he's had a 20, had a 16. He's only 5,100. He's going to get targets. And he's not the same guy that they're using him differently than last year. Last year, they just used him in these like 5-6 yard quick slants, very low A-dot roll. This year, he is getting down the field a little bit. So I think there's some more upside. We obviously like Jackson Dart, and 49ers have been giving up through the air to wide receivers over the last 4, allowing 30. Their opponent rank is 30, allowing 203.3 yards per game and 1.3 touchdowns. Robinson's a solid play. Ladd McConkey, $6K for the Chargers. My issue here is just volume. Is he going to have the volume? Is the other team going to be able to score enough points where they got to go to him? That is my worry. And like Las Vegas, they won 20-9, 5 targets. This profiles more of a game like that. Minnesota scares you a little bit, so you can come out aggressive versus them. Even though it was a blowout, the Chargers came out aggressive. Versus Tennessee, they don't need to come out aggressive. They can come out running the ball, playing conservative, and then if they get to a big lead, they're just going to go more conservative. So there's just less pass to success here, or like ceiling success. And that's my worry about him. DK Metcalf, 5,500 is going too low owned. 5-star alert score for him. We see the ceiling that he always has. There's upside. Aaron Rodgers looks for him everywhere. And then it's a game where they have to come out aggressive because this Colts team is going to be putting up points. And the Colts secondary has been awful. 170.4 yards per game, 1.1 touchdowns, 29th opponent rank. I love me some DK. Jamar Chase, Bears are awful. Juwan Jennings, 4,300, should be higher owned. 3.5-star alert score. 6 targets, 6, 2. But I mean, this guy had 5 broken ribs, earlier in the season. He is starting to get a little bit healthy. He is obviously the one right now. And it's in a good matchup. I think you can do worse. The volume's going to be there. The upside is there with 48.5 total. I like me some Juwan Jennings for sure. Rashee Rice, we don't even need to talk about him. It's a high-scoring game. He's going to be used all over the field, get 10-plus targets from Mahomes. It's great. Puka, the man, all he does is just have huge fantasy games. He's in the fastest game of the week. The upside here, outside of like a CMC and JT, there's nobody else that has that kind of upside. He can get 15 targets, go for 200 yards, get you 2 touchdowns. The only issue is that his involvement in the red zone, unless they create like a little screen pass for him or something, he just isn't used that much in the red zone. All right. More pivots here. Michael Pittman Jr. versus Pittsburgh. I love Pittman. His ceilings are very few and far between, though. He needs 10 plus targets to really get there. To get the chance of going over 100 yards, he needs the 10 targets. This Pittsburgh game could do that. One, Pittsburgh can put up some points, and they can keep up with the Colts a little bit, so we're interested there. De'Ami Brown, there's no Travis Hunter. I would expect Brown to be working the outside the whole game, play 70+%. He's at 3,800. It's a Raiders D that's not that good. I think he's interesting. Alec Pierce, 4,600, the deep threat for the Colts, 4.5-star alert score. We know there's a ceiling because he can get a bomb for 60 yards that makes your week. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8,300. He absolutely crushes Minnesota. I'm going to play a ton of Amon-Ra, and I cannot believe he's not higher owned. I would expect him to end up higher owned, actually. Xavier Worthy, 5,600. They got to figure out how to get him going. And if everybody's playing Rice, wouldn't be that surprised in this matchup. Worthy finding some success deep. Brian Thomas Jr. at 6,200. At some point, and hopefully maybe the bye, they're able to figure out how to get this guy going, but there is no Travis Hunter. He is the clear-cut wide receiver one now. I think he needs some consideration in a soft matchup. DK has been used as a primary receiver since Lockett left, 3,900. He's going to get targets. They're going to have to throw. And Rome at 6,600. If they don't fully trust Monangai, Rome is going to have 10, 12 targets. 3,700 Parker Washington. All right. Going into the bye, week 7, he played 88% of the snaps. He had 10 targets, had 3 carries. They used him all over. It was a blowout. So those targets are obviously elevated, but that is with Travis Hunter, who also played 80-something% of the snaps. Hunter's gone. Hunter is also this season plays a ton of the slot, which Parker Washington excels at. So I think Parker Washington is going to be used within either the slot or just regularly out here. And there is some upside at his price. I mean, he gets 80 yards and a touchdown on, his 7-8 targets that he's going to get. He catches 5-6 of them. There's big time upside at very cheap price and big time ownership. So you can definitely get some studs in there. All right. High owned Robinson, Myers, Chase, Puka on FanDuel. That is what it is. Let's get on over to tight end. Monaf. I just talked about BTJ. Hope you heard that. He's off the injury report. He does have that shoulder issue, but it was 2 weeks ago. He had the bye last week. If you have him on your team, I would be playing him. He's going to get targets. He's still the same guy he was last week or last year. So it's just Cohen and Lawrence need to figure out how to get him more involved because they need to get him more involved. All right, on to tight end, high owned. We got George Kittle, Kyle Pitts. To be honest, Pitts really isn't my player pool this week. He's cheap enough with the role that you can absolutely use him, but there are so many tight ends that I like this week. I have a hard time getting to him. George Kittle, obvious smash. It's Juwan Jennings and him. He's going to have a huge game he's going to have a huge blow-up game soon. There's no tight end that has the ceiling that he does. Tyler Warren, 5,500. I think this is a smash spot. We talked about Daniel Jones, being so great in the first half and then being nothing in the second half. That is also what's been happening to Tyler Warren, but he's still been one of the best tight ends in the game. And I think in a spot where it looks like we're going to get a little more volume going his way, he has 8-10 target upside, which we've only seen it a few times. 9 targets versus Arizona, 6 versus the Rams, but 2 carries also, 7 versus Denver, 9 versus Miami. Like, though that target volume gets up there and the floor becomes double digits and the ceiling becomes 20 plus. So I think Warren's in a smash spot because the Steelers could keep up a little bit. Brock Bowers finally healthy, price all the way down at $5K. This is a guy that at the end of the season last year at mid 6Ks, you would rather go to him than some of the wide receivers there. The first game of the season, the only one that he has been healthy, he got 8 targets for 103 yards. This is the guy that we're going to finally get back. So you're getting $1,500, discount on Brock Bowers because he's been out. He struggled while trying to play through injury for a few weeks. And now he just got 4 weeks off because of the bye. Let's go Brock Bowers. Laporta, Detroit, game stacks of this. I love it. Going to go there. Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, it looks like he's going to be out. Daniel Bellinger is doubtful. And if we get some more volume going to him, he becomes very, very interesting. Dart has been using his tight ends a ton. And if these 7, 4 to 6, 4 to 7 targets become 6 to 8 or 6 to 10, then Theo at 3,500 could have a big game. Gunnar Helm, Chig is on the injury report, and if he's out, Gunnar Helm gets all the tight end work there, and he's been used, significantly. The only issue is the Chargers are decent versus the tight end here, but at 2,900, you get 6 targets, he gets a touchdown. All of a sudden, he's very, very usable. And tight end on FanDuel, Tucker, Kelsey, Bowers. Kelsey, it's the highest game total environment of the slate. I'm fine because of that, but Bills have been extremely good versus the tight end. Second in the league, have only allowed 1 touchdown so far on the year, only 22 yards a game. I don't love going this way. I think people are going to go there because he just had a big game, but I just have my doubts that one will come through. I think the most likely outcome for him is, 40 yards and maybe a touchdown. But at 5,800, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to pay up for that. I would much rather go to the Warren, the Bowers, even Kraft, Gadsden, Kittle. There's just so many guys this week at tight end. And let's get over to defense. Lions, high owned versus Minnesota and JJ McCarthy. That makes some sense as JJ looked awful in his first 2 games. I don't feel like you need to play the Lions. I generally get a little different there. Rams at 3,900 versus the Saints and Tyler Shuck. Rookie quarterback making his first start. It's a slam dunk. Jaguars versus the Raiders. Geno Smith has looked terrible. He had the bye just like the Jags, so maybe he figures some out, but I don't mind going to Jags here. Packers at 4K is a slam. Chargers at 3,800 is very interesting. And I got to shout out the Patriots versus the Falcons. Falcons win away are at like 13 or 14 points a game. They are one of the worst offenses when they're away. That's going to do it for us today, guys. It was a bit of a long one, going 39 minutes, but we wrapped it all up. Now, please make sure to hit the like button and come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do. We also have the free trial. Come take a peek for free, 7 days free. You enter now, and you get to prepare for tomorrow. You have Monday Night Football, you got Thursday Night Football, you got the whole week of NBA, and you can use it to prepare for next week before then just joining for, a month at $39.99 per month. All right, guys, you all have a good one. Thank you for listening. See you later. Peace.